I didn't stop her. Not because I couldn't, but because I needed her to finish. Most people think control means stopping something before it happens. Cut it off. Expose it. End it before it gets worse. But control, real control, comes from letting it go, exactly where it was always meant to go, and being the one waiting at the end. So I didn't confront Laura, not after the calls, not after the policy, not after I knew. I went back to being predictable. Sama alarm. Same coffee. Same questions that meant nothing but filled the space just enough to feel normal. How's your day looking? Booze. She didn't even look up when she said it. And that told me something important. She wasn't checking me anymore, which meant, from her perspective, everything had stabilized. That was the shift. Small, quiet, but critical. Because people only move forward when they believe the system is working. And Laura, she was starting to move again. The first sign wasn't obvious. It never is. It was the absence of something. She stopped watching me. No more subtle glances when she thought I wasn't looking. No more pauses before answering simple questions. No more recalculating tone mid-sentence. She relaxed. Not emotionally. Strategically. Like someone who had tested the system after a disruption and confirmed it was back under control. That's when I knew. She thought whatever went wrong had corrected itself. Good. Because correction leads to confidence. And confidence leads to action. I gave her exactly what she expected. I didn't ask about her schedule. Didn't question the late nights. Didn't bring up the calls. I stayed inside the version of me she had already mapped. Predictable. Safe. Manageable. Because if she believed I was still inside that version, she wouldn't hesitate when it mattered. 3 days passed like that. Nothing dramatic. Nothing loud. Just silence. But not empty silence. The kind that builds pressure underneath. And then, on the 5th night, it broke. Laura came home later than usual. Not rushed. Not distracted. Calm. That kind of calm doesn't come from nothing. It comes from completion. She stepped inside, closed the door behind her, and for a second, she didn't move. Just stood there, looking at me. Not like a wife. Like someone verifying a condition, checking if everything was aligned. If I was aligned. We need to talk, she said. No hesitation. No softening. Just transition. I nodded slowly. About what? She walked to the table, set her bag down, opened it. Every movement precise. Measured. Then she pulled it out. A folder. Clean. Structured. Prepared. She placed it between us. There's something I need you to sign. That sentence would sound normal to anyone else. Routine paperwork. Insurance. Banking. But I knew better. Because nothing in this was routine. Not the timing. Not the pattern. Not the way she said it. This wasn't a request. It was a final step. I looked at the folder. Didn't touch it yet. Because sometimes the moment before action tells you more than the action itself. She didn't push it closer. Didn't explain immediately. She waited. That was important. Because waiting means expectation. And expectation means she believed she already knew what I would do. I looked up at her. What is it? Just a policy update, she said. There it was again. Simple words. Safe tone. But underneath it, structure. Nothing major. Nothing major. That almost made me smile. Because everything about this was major. I nodded slightly. Okay. That word changed everything. I saw it in her eyes. Just for a second. A flicker. Not relief. Not yet. Adjustment. Because that wasn't the reaction she had prepared for. But it wasn't resistance either. So she moved forward. Good. Because now, we were exactly where I needed us to be. I reached for the folder. Opened it slowly. Not because I needed time to read. But because I wanted her to think I did. Because the longer she believed she was still in control of the pace, the further she would go. And I needed her to go all the way. Because this wasn't the moment to stop her. This was the moment to let her finish. I didn't rush. Didn't flip through the pages like I was trying to find something wrong. Because I already knew there was. Instead, I slowed down. That's the difference. When you don't understand something, you read faster. When you do, you read slower. Page 1. Standard language. Coverage details. Nothing unusual. Page 2. Adjustments. Close. Still clean. Still structured. Exactly how it was supposed to look. But systems like this don't hide in the obvious. They hide in the language no one questions. Page 3. That's where it shifted. Not dramatically. Just enough. I leaned slightly closer, eyes scanning line by line. And then I saw it. Not a number. Not a name. A condition. Trigger-based authorization. My grip on the page tightened slightly, because now I understood what I was looking at. This wasn't about payout. It was about control. Conditional authority transfer. Not when I died. When I was classified. I read the clause again. Slower this time. In the event of verified cognitive impairment, medical incapacity, or inability to manage financial decisions, I stopped there. Because that was it. Not death. Disqualification. I leaned back slowly. Because this wasn't a worst-case scenario. This was a setup. A pathway. A system designed to move control away from me, without needing me to be gone. I looked up at Laura. This isn't a normal update. She didn't react. Of course she didn't. It's just restructuring, she said. Calm. Measured. Like the sentence had been rehearsed. I nodded slightly. Restructuring what? A pause. Small. But this time, I saw it. Not hesitation. Calculation. Just making things easier long-term, she said. Easier. For who? I looked back down at the document. And that's when I saw the next layer. Medical verification requirements. Third-party confirmation. Evaluation triggers. All tied to the same clause. All connected. And suddenly, everything from the past few days snapped into place. The calls. The timing. The pattern. The access logs. This wasn't just financial. It was procedural. Step by step. Controlled. I exhaled slowly. How long have you been working on this? I asked. She didn't answer immediately. Then, does it matter? There it was again. Not denial. Not explanation. Just acceptance. I nodded. It does to me. She held my gaze. Longer this time. And for the first time, I saw it clearly. Not just intent. Confidence. Like she wasn't worried about whether I would agree. Only when. You're overthinking it, she said. I almost laughed, because that's what people say when they need you to stop looking deeper. But I didn't push. Not yet, because now I understood something critical. This wasn't the moment she needed me to believe her. This was the moment she needed me to comply. And those are two very different things. I closed the folder halfway. Not fully. Just enough to pause. Then I asked, and the warehouse? Her expression didn't change. And him? This time, she answered, he's just part of it. Part. That word again. Not emotional. Not personnel. Structural. I nodded slowly. Because now, there was nothing left to confirm. Everything I needed was already on the table. I closed the folder completely, looked at her, and made the decision. Not emotional. Not reactive. Deliberate. Okay. That word hit her harder than anything else I could have said. Her eyes narrowed slightly. What? I'll sign it. Silence. Because now, I wasn't following her script anymore. I was stepping past it. You will? She asked. I nodded. Yeah. A pause. You're right. That confused her. I could see it. Because she had prepared for resistance. For doubt. For questions. Not agreement. But agreement moves things forward. And that's what she wanted. So she didn't stop me. She pushed the pen toward me. And that was the moment everything aligned. Because she thought I was agreeing to her plan. She didn't realize I was about to complete it. I picked up the pen. Not slowly. Not dramatically. Calm. Like it didn't matter. Because that's what she needed to see. Compliance. I signed exactly where she pointed. No hesitation. No questions. And in that moment, everything locked. Laura exhaled. Just slightly. But I caught it. Relief. That was her mistake. Because relief only comes when someone believes. It's over. I set the pen down. Looked at her. Is that everything? I asked. She nodded. Yes. I held her gaze for a second longer, then said, no. That word landed differently. Because now, the balance had shifted. What do you mean? She asked. Not calm anymore. Not fully. Just a crack. Small, but real. I reached into my pocket, pulled out my phone, unlocked it, turned the screen toward her. At first, she didn't understand what she was looking at. Then she did. Los. Timestamps. Access attempts. Verification failures. Every call. Every request. Every movement through the system. Recorded. Rerouted. Stopped. Her eyes moved faster now. Scanning. Processing. You changed something, she said. Note a question. A realization. I nodded. Not something. A pause. Everything. Silence. Heavy. Because now, she understood. Not the details. But the outcome. You don't understand what you've done, she said. That almost made me smile. Because now, she was reacting. And I wasn't. I think I do, I said. I stepped back. Frank. The door behind her opened. She turned. And froze. Frank walked in first. Calm. Controlled. Like he had been part of this from the beginning. And then, the second figure stepped in. The man from B14. Laura's expression broke. Not dramatically. Just enough. Because now, the structure she thought she controlled wasn't hers anymore. What is this? She said. No script now. No control. Just confusion. Real confusion. That's when I said it. You weren't building something around me. A beat. You were building something I was supposed to walk into. Her eyes locked onto mine. Searching. Trying to find the gap. The moment everything changed. But she couldn't. Because that moment was never visible. You think you won, she said. I shook my head slowly. No. A pause. I let you finish. Silence. Then, the truth landed. Not all at once, but enough. She looked at the phone again, at the logs, at the failed confirmations, at the system that had stopped moving the way she expected, and that's when the final layer revealed itself. This was never about replacing me. Not completely. It was about control. Legal. Financial. Procedural. A version of me that could be overridden. Activated. Used. At the right moment, you were going to trigger it, I said quietly. Not asking. Stating. She didn't respond. Didn't need to. Because now, everything was already exposed. Frank stepped forward slightly. Every attempt you made was logged, he said. Every modification rerouted. Every verification redirected. Laura shook her head slightly, like she was trying to reject something that had already happened. That's not possible, she said. But it was. Because systems only work when the person inside them doesn't know they've lost control. And she had. Long before this moment, I looked at her. Not angry. Not emotional. Just clear. People think betrayal is about lies, I said. A pause. It's not. I stepped closer. It's about timing. Another pause. And the moment you understand the timing, I glanced at the folder on the table. You don't stop the plan. I looked back at her. You take control of it. Silence filled the room. Because there was nothing left to say. No argument. No defense. Just outcome. I turned away. Because this part was already done. They thought they were building something around me. They were wrong. Because in the end, I was the one who decided how it worked.